What up, though?
Dude, y'all heard the devil's comet that we might see during the eclipse on April 8th? The eclipse comet that may photobomb April's big event. This thing last visited the solar system, man, in the year Queen Elizabeth II's coronation. It's larger than Mount Everest. Now we're going to talk about this daggum eclipse, man. Look, I live like 20 minutes away from there, right? Look at where they cross it. Okay, also the cicadas are supposed to be coming out after a long time. Different types of cicadas, and look, they're all merging right there. These are hazard zones in the United States. Look, right there, same spot. Another catastrophic damage zone, same area. Earthquake zones. It's on the Madrid fault line is where the same spot is. If you look closely at the cave systems, that big bunch, like right there. So it's not necessarily in the same spot, but it's still right there, kind of weird. Safe and unsafe spots in the future America. Extremely high threat is in the yellow, same spot. Surviving secondary and longer term effects of a nuclear explosion. Very high is like the dark brown. Look, boom, same spot. So y'all tell me how on earth this is all coincidence with the cicada. They cross that same spot, the hazard zones, nuclear explosions, all this stuff. I mean, it's kind of weird. What do y'all think?
NASA has unveiled plans to launch 3 scientifically oriented rockets into the moon's shadow on Monday, April the 8th, coinciding with a partial solar eclipse spanning North America. During this celestial event, which will feature a total solar eclipse along a 115-mile wide path across parts of Mexico, 15 U.S. states and Canada, and a partial eclipse throughout the Americas, there will be a noticeable decrease in sunlight. NASA's initiative, dubbed Atmospheric Perturbations Around the Eclipse's Path, also known as APEP, aims to explore the effects of this decrease in sunlight and temperature on the Earth's upper atmosphere. APEP draws its name from the ancient Egyptian mythological serpent deity, a nemesis of the sun god Ra, as per NASA, Forbes has reported. APEP, an ancient Egyptian deity, symbolized darkness and chaos, serving as the adversary of light, and Ma'at, which represents order and truth. Ra, on the other hand, represented illumination, making him the primary antagonist of APEP. The suborbital rockets will not ascend into totality, but will instead launch from Wallops Flight Facility on Wallops Island, Virginia, where 81% of the sun will be obscured by the moon. This event is slated to occur at 3:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
There is not a single person on this earth that has ever seen an event like we are going to see on April 8th of 2024. This is the path that it will take, and these are the times that you'll be able to see it. Totality is going to last about 4 minutes and 35 seconds in some places. Now, compared to the total solar eclipse that we had in 2017, that one lasted about 2 minutes and 43 seconds in some areas, so we're doubling that time this year. That's why it's something that no one has ever seen before. It's going to last for a long time compared to other total solar eclipses eclipses. The last one that was even close to this happened back in the 1800s. In a month, we are going to have 2 broods of cicadas come up from under the ground. Now, these 2 broods have not converged in over 200 years. And look at this map. See the light blue and the dark brown right there converging in Illinois? Yeah, that's the same spot where our 2 paths converge as well, southern Illinois. We are going to have a total solar eclipse that lasts damn near 5 minutes in some areas, and then we're going to have millions of cicadas that have been underground for either 13 or 18 years, all coming up at the same time, and they have not done that in over 200 years. So if you are over 200 years old, DM me, but if not, no one on this earth has seen like what's coming on April 8th.
Are you ready to have your mind blown by how interconnected the world really is? This data visualization uses real seismic data to show the earthquake waves from the magnitude 7.4 quake in Taiwan as they were detected by seismometers in the northern hemisphere. Each of these dots is a seismic station. When the ground below the station moves down, the dot turns blue, and when the ground below the station moves up, the dot turns red. When an earthquake occurs, it releases energy in the form of waves that travel through the Earth's interior and across the Earth's surface. These waves attenuate or get smaller with distance, so once they leave the region around where the earthquake occurred, they can't be felt by people, but they can be detected by these sensitive seismic instruments. If you watch the video carefully until near the end, you'll see the waves, especially in the US, seem to change directions. What you're seeing are the seismic waves coming around from the other side of the Earth. This is only showing a subset of worldwide seismic stations. However, the spatial distribution of stations is uneven. Also, the animation is not in real time.
There's a huge timeline shift coming on April 8th during the solar eclipse, and what you do on the days leading up to it is going to determine which reality you enter. Falling into the fear-mongering propaganda and not protecting your energy could lead to you being pulled down into a lower dimensional timeline. A timeline that might look just like the timeline that you're in now, but really be synthetic. But choosing to let go of all fear, embrace your true power, and reconnect with the earth and the celestial events will propel you forward into a reality that will completely blow your mind.
The American flag. Looks like a solar eclipse to me. What is happening in America on April 8th?
Breaking news. The Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed, shocking the world when the truth behind it was revealed. A cruise ship full of containers hit it, and the sound of impact echoed as the bridge, built in 1977, was completely destroyed. On the night of March 26th, a cargo ship named the Dali left the port of Baltimore for Sri Lanka at 12:45 at night, crossing the Patapsco River on the way. Just as the cargo ship was about to arrive at the Francis Scott Key Bridge, an accident occurred. It deviated from its original route and hit the bridge frame. The bridge, which lost its support point, was completely destroyed at this moment. However, when the truth behind the accident was revealed, it shocked everyone.
Have you forgotten?
Heading towards us. What was that, sweetie? Clay? Clay.
closer.
I think that's a problem.
No, come on. It's gonna stop. It's got to. Right? Wake up. Archie, come on, bud. Yeah, help us back up. Leave it already? Why? Holy fuck.
Jesus, Archie, let's go.
I think that ship is heading towards us.
Quick thought. Spring equinox just happened. That means the first of the year has finally happened, right? That means balance is happening, shifting is happening. People start to feel weird. You're starting to feel emotional, right? All these things is happening because you're starting to shift in frequency. April 8th, eclipse, means the positive energy, which is masculine, and the feminine energy, which is moon and sun, is going to get together, which is an eclipse. That's going to, if you take a positive and a negative, which is the sun and the moon, you put them together, right? And they eclipse and they come together, that's what you create an energy. The same thing that's happening on the outside of us is happening on the inside of us too, because the left and right hemisphere of the brain is the sun and the moon. That's your masculine and your feminine energy too. So as above, so below. As within, so without. Everything that's happening on the outside on the cosmic level is happening on the inside of us on the internal level. So be peaceful and be mindful of the energy that's happening, the strangeness and the feelings and all that. Your DNA is being upgraded.
How does nobody know what CERN is, and why is nobody talking about it restarting on April 8th, the exact same day as the American solar eclipse? Coincidence? I think not. Let's look at the potential dangers, shall we? So CERN is focused on trying to create dark matter by smashing particles together, essentially trying to open a portal. If that's not stuff from nightmares, let's look at what could happen on April 8th. The gravitational forces at play during a solar eclipse are delicate and critical in maintaining the celestial harmony. Introducing the high-energy collisions at CERN could disrupt these forces, leading to unforeseen consequences such as changes in the eclipse's duration or intensity.
So if things couldn't get any stranger in 2024, some of you guys will experience something that you have never ever experienced in your entire life during April 8th, 2024. And it doesn't matter if you are able to see this solar eclipse or if you aren't. You are going to feel this energy change what you see out your eyes. This will be called demon face syndrome. What is demon face syndrome? Well, let's have a look at what some of you guys may experience during this eclipse. So here's what's most likely to happen to some of you guys. On the left is how a normal perception of a person. During this event, the energy will change on a magnitude that you have never ever seen in your entire life. And your eyes may start to see people like what you see on the right here. So if you start to experience this demon face syndrome, keep in mind that there is a super powerful energy that is being manipulated on the planet at the time of your vision changing from this right here to this. Peace and love. And like I said, 2024 will keep getting stranger. Keep your eyes open though. Deuces.
This man is really going through it. Not only was he recently diagnosed for having demon face syndrome, but every person that he sees looks like this.
Imagine your vision is totally normal, and then one day you see demonic features everywhere on people only, just like this, what you see behind me. Now that's a reality for a man named Victor Shera. He has extremely rare yet terrifying disorder called PMO, and it's commonly known as, or now known because People didn't know about it at first. It's called the demon face syndrome.
I don't know about y'all, but this obviously has to do with some spiritual warfare because the doctor had never even heard about it, and the fact that there's only 75 cases made him have to come up with an explanation and diagnosis to let 59-year-old Victor Shera know exactly what was going on.
Condition, we're told, is called demon face syndrome. Now, it's when an individual sees someone and their face seems distorted, almost satanic, demon-like. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
I haven't. And to your point, when I saw that only 75 cases have been reported, I said, ooh, we really looked high and low to find this one. But
y'all remember this girl? So think back to that video on why Oklahoma is calling in the National Guard to help them on an influx of eclipse tourism with additional hazmat response capabilities. You think that woman on the plane saw someone with this disorder? Or do they expect an extra 100,000 additional people visiting the community?
Let's take the time right now and realize they really came out on the news and told us about demon face syndrome. Something that has never been existed ever in humanity in time ever. Demon face syndrome? Right before the solar eclipse, it's demons. They are testing it and running stuff in the lab and knowing that these is happening. And now the people that is seeing these things, they don't have any problems. They're seeing demons. Something that they know is going on, something that they know is happening. And they trying to manipulate and deceive you. So when you do see it, there's nothing wrong, but there is.
I told you every fucking day is something about this eclipse that's supposed to happen on April 8th, and look what just happened. NASA has slipped up and told us exactly what they have planned. There was this press conference where NASA was talking about what they have planned for the April 8th eclipse, and he slipped up and said the word ellipse. A lot of people were just saying, oh, that is just a slip of the tongue. It was not a slip of the tongue. And if you know what an ellipse is, I'm about to explain it to you and why it's fucking crazy that they're doing this on April 8th. Not only NASA, but CERN too. And if you have CERN doing this particular experiment that they are launching on April 8th with the Particle Hadron Collider, and then you have NASA saying that they're going to be shooting 3 rockets at the sun at an exact moment in time to try to hit the ionosphere, baby, we are in for some shit. Before, NASA was trying to say that this was just them trying to detect what happens in the ionosphere during an eclipse and see how it affects radiation, how it affects cellular network, and all that other shit. So that's what they were pushing, right? Yeah, he just blew the whole fucking cover by saying ellipse, because now we know what they're really doing on April 8th. Before I get into it, let me just say that I am a conspiracy theorist. These are my own ideas, beliefs, and conspiracies. Do not take what I say as fact. Discretion advised. Before I explain to you what an ellipse is, I'm gonna play you the clip of the NASA specialist doing a press conference and where he actually says that it is an ellipse.
In moments like this, a total solar ellipse, it's a moment when millions of people across North America will look to the heavens as the moon passes in front and between the sun and the earth. And it's a rare sight that we haven't seen in 7 years. And unusual things start to happen.
So y'all clearly heard him enunciate total solar ellipse and then go forward to try to backtrack and cover himself up and say that when the moon passes the sun,
right.
And then goes back into talking about very unusual and strange things that will happen. Why would that be strange that it's just an eclipse? Wrong. It's an ellipse. Now, I'm going to give you a depiction of what an ellipse is, and then I'm going to put it together for you. This is the most accurate depiction that I can find that was easily relatable, that you guys can understand. It comes from this TikToker up there. So basically, there are 2 points, right? And these 2 points, no matter what, they all come back to this point. And as you can see, they are creating these wave-like things. And I'm going to tell you what these 2 points are going to represent, because no matter where these 2 points are, one still goes to the other as far as wavelengths, frequency, and energy. And when those 2 things happen, stuff is created from that energy. Remember how I told you CERN was doing something on April 8th? One dot is CERN and the other dot is NASA. And together they are going to fucking create something that I don't even want to talk about. You have NASA, who is shooting 3 rockets at the solar eclipse at the exact time that the sun is passing the moon. They are trying to do an ellipse. And then you have the Hadron Collider that will be powering up and playing with fucking dark matter and ghost at the same time where the sun is passing over the moon. Again, these are happening in different points at the same time. You couple that with the fact that thousands of people are going to be looking up at what is going on. They are going to be hitting the ionosphere while CERN is down here fucking with the other, whatever is down here. The atmosphere, the frequencies, the pressures, because CERN experiments with dark matter, dark particles. They open black fucking holes. And if you don't believe me about those 3 rockets here, the purpose of these space missions is to delve into the study of the atmospheric disturbance triggered by the solar eclipse and gain an insight on its possible impact on satellite signals and radio frequencies. They launched the rockets will carry specific equipment into the ionosphere to accomplish this objective. The study will focus on atmospheric disturbance triggered by the eclipse. While they're shooting those 3 rockets at the sun, past the sun into the atmosphere, you have CERN, who is turning on their particle hadron collider for the first time in multiple years. And if you are unfamiliar with that particle hadron collider in CERN, they be fucking with some shit down there. And it literally draws so much power to this Hadron Collider that they can't power small towns near it because it's sucking up all the energy. The solar eclipse produces energy and solar flares on its own that are happening behind all of that. You take that and you have 2 points in time where you are basically fucking with what's up above and fucking with what's below, and you're telling me that ain't nothing crazy gonna happen? I would be surprised if a scene from Ghostbusters didn't open up and shit started flying right out of the air and coming down and fucking killing us. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm just telling you, I've been studying this eclipse since the first. Fuck it being biblical. Even though it is biblical, we need to pay attention to what they're trying to open up. They're opening up portals and gateways and harnessing energy from the solar eclipse to do it. And if you don't believe me, look at the last time they powered on this machine. Fuck it, just look at 2008 when we literally went into a Mandela effect and everything fucking changed. Pay attention, and I don't care what nobody says. You have people saying, oh, nothing's gonna happen, nothing that you see, because you're in a different fucking dimension and frequency where you don't see shit anyway. So the people who are of a higher frequency and dimension, we're gonna see it. We're gonna feel it. It's gonna be all around you. This shit's gonna get really scary and demonic. But again, I'm just a conspiracy theorist. These are my own ideas, beliefs. Don't take any of it as fact. Discretion advised.
Now, Alexa, so confused right now. Alexa, is there something called the Devil's Comet?
From River967.com. The comet is known as the Devil's Comet, and although it's difficult to say exactly when it will be passing by, it's expected to cross our path in April of 2024.
Wouldn't happen to be April 8th, would it, Alexa?
From NBCnews.com. If the comet flares significantly in the coming weeks, it's possible that the Devil Comet will be visible during the upcoming total solar eclipse April 8th.
Okay. You know what? Alexa, when is CERN turning back on?
From ZDNet.com. Update, CERN now says the LHC won't restart until April.
Yeah, wouldn't happen to be April 8th, would it? Alexa, will CERN turn back on April 8th, 2024?
This powerful particle accelerator is about to turn back on.
Okay. All right. You know what? It's okay. It's all good. It's all good. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine.
What? This is terrifying. Devil Comet, thrice the size of Mount Everest, is heading towards Earth. This is talking about the comet 12P, and it orbits the sun every 71 years, and it is quickly getting closer. It's an incredibly fascinating comet because it's huge, with a diameter of about 30 kilometers, and it's volcanic. So it's a giant volcanic comet which recently had another explosion of ice and dust and gas, which gave it these 2 horns and the unfortunate nickname Devil Comet. It's going to be closest to Earth on April 21st, 2024, and it's possible that as it gets brighter, we'll be able to see it without a telescope, which is awesome. But the Devil Comet is not a danger to us in any way, so pretty please, stop reading articles like this one, and this one, and this, and this, and this, and this.
Will a massive earthquake be triggered by the total solar eclipse coming up in America on April 8th? Well, there's a crazy theory going around that it will. The paths of the 2017 and the 2024 total solar eclipses forms an X directly over the New Madrid fault line. The New Madrid fault line is located in the Midwestern United States and is a major seismic zone for earthquakes. For instance, in 1811 and 1812, the New Madrid earthquakes were a series of intense quakes that remain to be some of the largest earthquakes ever recorded in North America. Around that same time, you had a total solar eclipse in 1806, and you also had the annual eclipse of 1811. The U.S. Geological Survey, the USGS, reported that earthquakes are 3 times more likely during an eclipse due to the gravitational forces between the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun. Not only that, but days ago, you had local weather reports talking about over 16,000 lightning strikes all along the path that the total eclipse of 2024 is going to take. So if there is a massive earthquake in the New Madrid fault line, we're talking about a number of states that will be impacted by this. Illinois, Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, and to a lesser extent, Mississippi and Indiana. What else is weird is that Oklahoma has announced that the National Guard will be deployed to assist with local law enforcement, local agencies to support the massive influx of people that are coming into these areas. What's odd about this, though, is that you have a report coming out stating that the elite chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear units will also be dispatched. So the National Guard is being deployed in Oklahoma because of the influx of people, not because of nuclear radiological events. Right? So why are they dispatching this elite chemical biological team that deals with this kind of stuff? It's very strange. If I had to put money on it, I bet nothing's going to happen, but you never know what's going to happen. So always be prepared.
Just when you thought you had heard all of the crazy coincidences about the April 8th eclipse, we find out that CERN has been preparing for the past month to go full power on April 8th during the total solar eclipse in North America. Their goal, well, as the article states, is to give them insight into the formation of the universe and even its ultimate fate. Also, they'll be on the hunt for dark matter. That sounds pleasant. And yes, I know that's a scientific name for antimatter, but let's take a look at this deeper with spiritual eyes here. As some of you may already know, they erected a statue of Shiva, the destroyer, right there at the facility in CERN, who also appears to be standing in front of a portal. And if you think it's interesting that a facility that want to find the end of the universe would erect the statue of the Destroyer, it's even more interesting that it was built on what used to be the Temple of Apollo, and also the people that live there believe it's a gateway to the underworld. Now in Revelation 9 verse 11, it talks about the king over the pit, which would be Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue his name is Apollyon, Apollo, Apollyon. Interesting similarity there. Well, on March 8th, they began running their preliminary test as they geared up for full power on April 8th. What else happened on March 8th? That's right. It's the Great Night of Shiva, where they celebrate Shiva. Definitely not a ritualistic date to pick, though. Especially not for a facility that has an erected statue of Shiva in the middle of it. Now, in case you think I'm being drastic, what does the culture think of Shiva? Well, it believes that Shiva is the god of destruction, said to be the one that destroys the universe at the end of days. So nothing nefarious to see here. I'm sure that it's all just a coincidence. Well, if you have spiritual eyes, you'll see that what they're trying to do is tear into another reality, or as you will, open the pit to the great abyss. It's a spiritual pit that will be opened. CERN has already admitted to open many black holes, so we know that they're tearing through the fabric of realities.
Baby, the biggest transformations that's going to come from this total solar eclipse is going to be in your love life and your social circle. Y'all, let's talk about this total solar eclipse in Aries that's happening on April 8th. from a spiritual perspective, of course. Let's get into it. A total solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes between the sun and the earth, causing the light from the sun to be completely blocked out. The temperature will drop and everything. All you might be able to see is a ring of light around the moon that looks like this. Now, eclipses as a whole are known for bringing heavy change and transformation, but baby, this total solar eclipse in Aries is scaring the glory out of a lot of people. But let's talk about it. Baby, in order to understand the spiritual impact of the total solar eclipse in Aries, we have to understand the planetary alignment as well. First off, it's important to note that Aries is a cardinal fire sign ruled by the planet of Mars. Mars is our planet of action. Now, here's the thing. Aries energy is known for being very impulsive, courageous, confident, strong, very good leaders as well. During the total solar eclipse, we have the sun, the moon, Luna, the moon, Venus, Mercury retrograde, and Chiron all conjunct in Aries. Spiritually, the sun represents the divine source as well as our highest divine self, our Ori. The moon, Luna, represents our emotion body. Mercury represents communication, personal technology, transportation, and agreements. Chiron, the asteroid, represents the wounded healer. And Venus is our planet of beauty and love and values. It's also important to note that this total solar eclipse will take place North Node, which represents the future. Now, the last eclipse we experienced on March 25th was a lunar eclipse, and it was South Node, so it was about the past. It was more karmic changes and transformation. This eclipse is a total solar eclipse centered in North Node, which is all about the future, manifesting our destinies. And baby, the changes and transformations that we are likely to feel and experience the most from this total solar eclipse are centered in these areas. So you will feel the transformations from this total solar eclipse the most in your Venus area, which is your love, values, and beauty. You'll start to feel a lot of shifts in your relationships, your intimate personal relationships, as well as your social circles. Now, some conflict may arise in that area because of that wounded healer, that Chiron. And those conflicts are really showing you who you are and what you need to work on to improve your love life, to improve your relationships. Now, what you will have to mind is what those challenges may look like. And that's where Mercury retrograde comes into play. Baby, I'm telling you, the cue for what you need to change, your sign, your warning, this is what you need to work on to manifest a better future in your relationships is going to come in the form of conflict. So this total solar eclipse may feel like it's bringing the drama, it's bringing the fire. That's that Aries energy. But we have to remember, fire is purifying, it's cleansing. So y'all beware of conflicts in communication and agreements arising in your relationship. And baby, this is where the shifts and transformation is going to come into play, because you will have to examine what is causing the conflicts in those areas. It's very likely that those conflicts, those challenges are a cue for what you need to work on, what wounds within self you need to work on in order to truly transform and change your relationships. And some of those conflicts will be a cue of what and who you may need to remove in order to truly align with the people you need to be in relationship with. And I'm talking about friends, families, and lovers. So overall, this total solar eclipse is going to elevate our love life, our relationships, by shifting our relationship with self, challenging us to go within, be introspective, connect with the highest divine source as well as our divine self, do our shadow work in a very deep, intimate way. This total solar eclipse could impact us in a very positive way. However, we have to be willing to do the work. If you don't, it may not be that good for you. Now, another thing I have to note is that eclipses bring heavy change and transformation energy. Total solar eclipses bring heavy change and transformation energy in the areas of life as well as the opposite of life. So be on the lookout for sudden pregnancies, new people coming into your life, but also it's possible that there may be sudden, I don't even want to say it, Lord. I'm not trying to scare y'all, but I got to tell you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And that's just what it is. Now, this is a North Node eclipse, so these changes and transformations will occur over the next year. But baby, the work starts now. Happy total solar eclipse, y'all. Much love.
my friendship with Tyler was that he was part of the space program. He's really integral into the space program, and he launches, these rockets and works with SpaceX and that type of thing. And what I found out, which he actually did not know, and I pointed it out to him, was that the whole thing was a ritual. The whole thing was ritualized. So they identified certain time periods astronomically when it would be beneficial to launch. And they also had, the rockets had Roman gods on them. And they also had Latin, 1st century Latin, not medieval Latin. It wasn't Catholic Latin. It was basically imperialistic Latin. And so, and everybody had to stay in their own space. Like there was a place where they had to stay. They wore the same clothes for every mission. And they ate the same food.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Are you referring to a SpaceX launch? I missed that.
Yeah. Well, not all SpaceX launches, just certain of them with Tyler involved. And so when he would be involved launching these satellites into space, a lot of times they'd be with SpaceX because that's who they used.
I see.
Yeah. So they would go, they've been doing this from, it looks like from the 1950s onward, they've been doing this ritual. And they would even have like a chaplain there. And, it was very ritualized. And so I noticed that and I asked him about it. And I said, do you know that this is 1st century Latin that's written on these rockets? And he said, no, I didn't know that. He didn't even know it was Latin. And so we read them, I translated them all, and I said, this says that. And I said, who up there in space is going to be reading this? Like, why would you put that on there? That seems so strange. And he said, well, I imagine it's for them. And I said, okay, who are they? And so he just didn't say anything.